After high school in Wayne County, I had no choice but to leave home looking for a job, like everyone else. That left a deep impression on me. So when I got elected to Congress, I decided I would try to do something about that.
So the concept of it all started with a napkin. Congressman Rogers, Clay Davis, Richard Carpenter, and others would gather frequently on Saturday mornings and talk about issues in the 5th Congressional District.
And so when you took these minds and brought them together, and they did, as many good ideas occur, over food, and so they were having a meal at the Holiday Inn dining area.
And we began to talk about what we could do to try to spur thinking outside the box to build jobs.
Hal was wanting a place to house his critters, as he calls them, and I was wanting a place to have a convention center, and Richard was wanting a theater. So we started talking, and then it just bloomed from there.
The original vision for the Center for Rural Development was a performing arts theater, a hub for economic development, a centralized place for all of Congressman Rogers' critter organizations, and then just a general focus on technology in this region.
It was gentlemen coming together that had a vision for this community, and by blending those visions, you have the Center for Rural Development.
I watched almost every brick laid in the building. I was so proud of it, and proud of the promise that it holds. A chance for us to really think big about recruiting jobs, business, industry, making our area better in all ways. And that's what has developed into. It's the home of things like Pride, Unite, Forward in the Fifth Education Reform, SCED, the Economic Development Group, an adjunct of SOAR now, the regional development effort, as well as the operations of the theater and the convention hall and all of the other things that go on here. It's a multi-purpose facility that has really, I think, reached its goal that I had in mind for it.
So the youth programs at the Center for Rural Development are very, very special to me. I will tell you that I'm not supposed to say it probably, but Rogers Scholars I think is the very best thing we do at the Center for Rural Development. As I travel around the region, that's what I get asked about most. And I really love working with young people. They give me so much energy, they help keep you young. They are the ones that are going to make a difference in southern and eastern Kentucky. They truly are the future.
Rogers Scholars, it's our flagship program. It started in 1998 and it was created as an action step toward Congressman Rogers' goal that no young person should have to leave home to find their future. And so since that program started, people have really started paying attention to the success stories that have come out of that program. We have students that have come out and they've done some amazing things. A lot of the scholars we see come full circle, and we've had former scholars from 2000, 2001 who have become engaged with the center again, with the program. And that's so important because long term that's what we're looking for. And that has fed to other programs. We've had colleges approach us wanting to get more involved. They might offer a scholarship, but they've wanted to come on board and do a Rogers Explorers Camp.
We realized when the Rogers Scholars Program, we were reaching a limited number of students, but we needed to reach more students. So we created a couple of other youth programs, the Rogers Explorers Program, which is focused on rising ninth graders with a math and science focus, getting them on a college campus and getting them used to being on a college campus. And then we did an entrepreneurship camp, which is really trying to get young people at a very early age start thinking about being entrepreneurs.
Earlier in the year, I lived in Washington, D.C. for about 3 months, and I would meet people on the streets or in a restaurant or in the office, and they would have something negative to say about me being from Eastern Kentucky. Maybe I was poor, maybe I was a hillbilly, maybe I had a country accent. I think what I learned at Rogers Scholar Program was that you can't judge a person because of the way they look at you. You just have to think about yourself and develop a good attitude about where you're from.
The Rogers Scholar Program really does teach people, instead of to do, it teaches them to be. And I think that if you can change people and teach them to become stronger and have more confidence and have more leadership, that you inspire a group of people, especially in this area, to change lives, to change things, to change policies, to make our area a greater place to live. And I think the Rogers Scholar Program does that.
So one thing the program really did for me was to teach me to be proud, to be from Eastern Kentucky. And I actually remember someone in the program telling us to be proud of where we're from and also to bloom where we're planted. So I always try to keep that in my mind and just be proud that I'm an Eastern Kentuckian.
Sometimes Eastern Kentucky seems to be a little bit isolated. So I think what the center does well is it connects arts and culture really to the world.
The first time that I was here, I was invited to a concert at the center. And I went in and I thought, of course, the beauty of the building was magnificent, but the group that was playing that night was the Lexington Philharmonic. And I just was overwhelmed at this small town offering that kind of quality entertainment. And it really did make me very aware that there was a lot in this town other than a small town and a small college.
It is a proven fact that arts and arts education enrich the lives of students and people of all ages. The Center and LCPA are helping to give those opportunities to students and, again, all ages by providing the performing arts programs, the visual arts programs, and especially arts education.
The center offers us a venue to allow people to experience the arts. If there is an occasion to celebrate, the first place we think of, if we need the size, we would look to the center.
One of the things that I am most appreciative of is the staff. And I think that it truly is the marrow of any real good relationship that anybody has with an organization is the staff that works at a place like a performing arts center or the Center for Rural Development. The facilities themselves are wonderful, and we truly appreciate the relationships that we've built there, and for me that's truly what sets the Center for Rural Development apart.
The partnership that Center for Rural Development and Walmart has is one that's gone back for a few years now, and it's through events we had with our block party, our local car show on Friday nights, and now we have a new partnership that's with Relay for Life.
It took our Relay for Life event to the next level because of the grand facility that you have and the size that it can accommodate. We found that it only grew our Relay for Life event. It was the overwhelmingly positive comment when we did wrap-up meetings, was our survivors saying, please continue to have it inside. And you all were gracious enough to let us to continue to do that. And so it really took us to the next level. And what's interesting is, in watching social media, following the Relay for Life event, I had volunteers in other communities say, we wish we had a Center for Rural Development.
After many years of trying to get a hotel on property, we're finally going to make that happen. Courtyard by Marriott is going to be located adjacent to the Center for Rural Development, and it will change the facility forever. It will allow us to attract small to medium-sized conferences and conventions that we have not been in the market for before. So it truly will change this region. With a beautiful Lake Cumberland that we have here, which is our greatest asset, it just opens up so many tremendous possibilities for us.
I think it opens up the possibilities because now we can attract national programs to our center with the hotel right in our backyard.
The first time the center got involved in public safety programs, it was a total change in programming focus. We did a law enforcement technology program providing computers, printers, scanners for local law enforcement agencies. That program put equipment in those officers' hands. That's extremely important in rural areas. So that was the first foray into it. And then we grew that into a national program that was providing technical assistance resources, low cost and no cost solution to small and rural agencies all over the country. The first one was only in southern and eastern Kentucky, but now we take that concept and we go nationwide providing technical assistance. And then we grew that into a national Homeland Security training program, trying to make sure that rural first responders have access to the same level of training and the same kind of training that their urban counterparts do.
So through the Public Safety Initiative, the center does have a nationally recognized program called the Rural Domestic Preparedness Consortium. And basically what that program does is train rural first responders to agencies that may not receive training compared to urban or city areas. And so what we do is we provide that training throughout the country, and we actually provide the instructors, the textbooks, everything that is included to do those classes. We provide that in their areas and provide training in their own communities.
Well, since I've been here, I've seen the center involved in all sorts of technology. Starting off with, I think, the law enforcement technology program was one of the biggest and earliest projects the center got into. Beyond that, the center has been providing statewide video conferencing for KCTCS and a number of other colleges that allow countless kids to have educational opportunities that they absolutely never would have had access to before.
We knew we wanted to have some sort of connectivity. If you're going to be relevant to Pike County and Letcher County and those extended areas, you have to have some sort of connectivity. And because we did have the partnership with KET, Kentucky Education Television, and we were putting a satellite up and we had this facility, we began to think, how can we do this technologically? We were putting in T1 lines and thought we were putting in this huge capacity. And so it was very forward thinking.
The broadband technology program that we're working on is something that I think is critical for the long-term future of southern eastern Kentucky. With the devastating loss of coal jobs, we've been dependent on coal mining, timber, and a few other entities over the years, but we are now having to transition to a technology-based economy. There is no silver bullet for southern eastern Kentucky, but broadband, high-speed, high-capacity broadband technology is the closest thing we have to turning this thing around and getting people back working. We can attract jobs that can be done from anywhere, so you don't have to be in San Diego, California to do a job. You can do it in southern eastern Kentucky, as long as you have access to high-speed, high-capacity broadband capability.
First of all, it's a $324 million project, so just in sheer size and dollars, it surpasses everything the center's been involved with up to this point. And it's also a statewide project. It started out with the center focusing on providing internet access, affordable high-speed internet access to eastern Kentucky, and has mushroomed since then into a project that is now statewide in scope, going to touch every one of our 120 counties.
It's unique. It's never been done before. Public-private cooperative effort to run this high-speed cable through every community and county. It will mean that we'll be able to work at home. And we're seeing that beginning to happen now in places like Owsley County, Jackson County, Kentucky. Several hundred people now working because they have somewhat of a cable there now. But I think the work ethic that our people have in the hills of Kentucky and the competitive wage rate that they will work for, if given the infrastructure, i.e. the cable, if we get that cable in place, the infrastructure, I think we're going to see a new eastern Kentucky.
Well, I think it puts Kentucky on a level playing field. You know, for so long, Kentucky's always been 48th in the country or 49th in the country. And I think you're starting to see these initiatives take off that's putting Kentucky at the top 2 or 3 in the nation. And they're going to leverage that Kentucky Wired project and help bring a new opportunity to eastern Kentucky.
Sometimes very difficult when you have a vision for something and then when reality actually sets in, making sure that you stay true to that vision.
From working with our youth to improving education to helping business and industry to retraining laid-off coal miners, the center is, and I know will remain, at the forefront of community and economic development in southern and eastern Kentucky for many years to come.
The region's changed a lot in the 20 years it's here, but the one thing about the center, we can adapt. have the ability to adapt to what the future economy needs and the social issues in the region are, and come up with community-based solutions for solving those.
But the center is a place where we can all come together and think big, and plan big, and then work big. That's what the center is and should be, and I look forward to the next 20 years.
So for many people, this has been the most difficult question to answer. What is one word that you would use to describe the Center for Rural Development?
Wow, that is a hard question. I don't do one words very well. Committed.
Optimism.
Diverse.
Community.
Focused.
Visionary.
Innovation.
Impactful.
Successful.
Treasure.
Teamwork.
Unique. Youth.
Blessing. Engaged.
Community.
Hopeful.
Dedicated.
Inviting. Prosperity.
Resourceful.
Genuine.
Transformative.
Dynamic.
Cultivating.
Multifaceted.
Opportunities.
Diversity.
Wonderful.
Innovative.
Pride.